Alright, let's go through Sonic the Werehog. We're going to try to put him in a very dynamic pose. So, starting out with 6B pencil, and we're going to kind of start with this, move into inking really quickly. So, let's get started, alright? I'm thinking of, I don't even have a pose in mind, really. So, I'm thinking of, I'm going to draw light, then I'm going to draw darker, so you can barely see that on the page. See, I'm gonna pull. I want his shoulders to be angled. You can kind of see it right there. Let's see. Something like that. You can kind of see it on the page. I'm mostly doing that darkness right there for the trying to help the viewer, right? You guys. And then putting his head kind of tucked down, like he's aiming at an angle. He's aiming sideways over here. He's got a huge, he's got like a huge gorilla looking hand over here. He's probably going to be aiming one direction, kind of jumping. His feet are generally smaller over here. It's funny too because I kind of want to draw a tail on him, but I know he doesn't have a tail, which is funny. And then I want his arm kind of up a little bit here, so you can barely see that. Forgive me. We're gonna like hop into the ink really fast, so just kind of be patient. The character is interesting. I thought the game was pretty okay. I know I keep seeing this character floating around, and I'm like, I just want to draw him again, but a more like a slow, methodical style like this, where we're gonna go in and really see what we can do over here. Let me see right here. I'm trying to think of like how someone's shoulder would be. Okay. Yeah, something like this, and then his hand gets bigger. I think this might be good enough to start working into. And yeah, if I need to, we'll float around. So, but this is good enough as far as with just the pose. I guess you barely see it, and I'm gonna hop into the actual drawing right here. So, starting with that nose, that hot dog kind of nose that he has. I'm surprised I drew that hot dog nose. I was gonna go of a more realistic route, but we'll throw in some realistic aspects to him as well. But right now, I kind of want to be true to the character as far as kind of throwing in certain features. There you go. There you go. So giving him that same glasses look that he has. I don't personally find the Sonic style that, how do you say? I gotta throw some more realism in here, basically, because I think the Sonic style, while good, I don't draw that way personally. So I'm gonna try to draw some more, throw some more realistic elements in here as we're doing this. I need to draw like a, have like a gum line or, you know, something of that sort. Bring in a little bit more evil look to him that I think the character would have if he was a little bit more realistic style. So we're gonna maybe draw something like that in the eyes. Say. His ears. Very horn-like. You can tell they deliberately made him look like devilish. Mm. He's got like a little bit of longer fang over here that I didn't put in, so I'm gonna just put that in there now. As he's mostly kind of going into that. I want his mouth open. And I'm thinking of what his jaw's gonna do while open, pretty much. Like how vicious do I want it? I definitely want it vicious. I'm drawing like little spit right here as he opens his mouth. I definitely want to have him very ferocious. Going over here, making the connections to the face a little bit, just to kind of look at that a little bit more. And it's going okay. I would say it's pretty good. Like I said, it's already almost uncomfortably animated because, like I said, I do this. I used to do this style a lot, but I don't really like do it as much as I normally could. And I'm drawing the lines right there. I'm drawing the fur lines. We're doing that together. There we go. One back that line right about there. I'm thinking, okay, it's going pretty good. It's gonna have a little bit of a tongue right there. I think people have the how do you say this? The reaction to draw the tongue really long, no matter what the character is. For any ferocious character, you have to like fight that urge to not venomize that tongue. I feel like a lot of people want to venomize that tongue for any character, but you don't want to do that for everything, obviously, because it's not the character's type to do that. And you're always balancing how much light and dark to put in it. There you go. There we go. A lot of the, I would say the curling of some of the features, a lot of that stuff is going to be fuzzy and furry because the character is fuzzy, right? And I want to go and give him a little bit more of a human, human anatomy to like his shoulder, for example. There you go. Just a little bit more. Top of his arms are not going to be that big. Seems like everything gets bigger as it goes down. So I've noticed with him. And so stuff like this over here. Give him a little bit of musculature though. Give him muscles right there along the arm. And it's gonna get huge toward probably the elbow area. That's where it starts to get really big. And around this point is where you're gonna get the gigantic kind of nail over here coming down along this side. So trying to find his fingers, and it's a really complicated area. That's something that you really gotta there's certain areas you have to be attentive to. Some areas you can kind of like let your instinct kick in, and as you let your instinct kick in, you know, as you let your instinct kick in, that you just kind of let yourself, you don't have to think as hard, basically. But over here, it's a little bit different. Over here, it's going in with a pencil just really quick, drawing the circles for his hands over here. There you go. Just kind of had to get the general, you know, layout of where these things are going to be. But yeah, like I said, there's some areas you don't have to think as hard, for sure. In some areas you do. Right? The hands is an area you really have to think about. And it just you know, it's just something that is necessary. But like areas of his back, even his spikes to some extent, like I'm obviously thinking about it, right? But I'm not actually have like right now I'm in like, that's why it's even hard for me to talk. I'm in, you know, intricate mode right now. I'm like, okay. And I also don't want to, I don't want every single nail to be exactly the same. I want his fingers to kind of look a little bit more natural, where they're not, you know, all completely sterile. All right, 1, 2 here. There you go. I'm going here the lines, and it's still not even full detail. I'm just trying to find the pose of every finger because he does have the same number of fingers that we have. Sometimes you kind of think like, does he have 4 fingers, or there's a little bit of a fat pad right there. Take into account that going on right here. And he's gonna have he has like these fuzzy bracelets almost. That's what I'm gonna say. It's not bracelets, it's hair, but the hair is kind of wrapped around his hand. So now we're trying to do this wild hair that's wrapped around him, and it's kind of like, okay, try to keep it as random as I can when it's doing this right around there. All right. kind of making the arm a little bit bigger because I'm doing this, but it's not. I'm not putting in that many shadows yet. Haha. Sorry. You get it? Shadows. I'm not putting that many shadows in, so okay, right here now I'm deciding, do I want to give him more of a human chest? I actually might do that. I think I'm gonna give him more of a human chest as opposed to the little ball chest that they tend to have. I think I'm gonna do that. I think that looks cooler, and I think it's more appropriate for this version of him. So I'm marking out kind of the pectoralis area, you know. All right, cool. And he's got like the big spikes, but they're kind of behind his upper body in a way. But his upper body is kind of, how do you say? His shoulder is back there, right? He's pulling his arm back, but we'll go through that. I'm actually kind of changing from what I thought was going to be. I think I'm going to put the arm up a little bit here, and we'll go through that with the pencils when we get there. But right now, general right there, pulling back along this area, and I'm going over here to the bottom, and let's go through his leg. What would his leg look like? Around to the knee, he's pretty. Put a little bit of fuzz here. Knee, pretty normal. Normal meaning he's got like semi-human anatomy and stuff like that. Going over here. There you go. There you go. And trying to think of the way the pelvis would be, and I'm kind of thinking about probably right here about this area. He's pulling his waist back that direction, and some of this is gonna be covered in shadow, and we'll kind of push into that. All right. I'm gonna add a little bit more. I think more leg here, a little bit more, just a little bit. Right, we want a little bit of thickness there because I think it's gonna make it a lot more convincing for what we need. Finding bottom part of this leg right there. Line up. There you go. Going back over here. Yeah, gonna a little bit of the muscles here, kind of wrapping the lines around that. Pulling down the shoe. I'm going to find the spikes there. On the edge. Along the edge over here. edge of that shoe. You want to strike those a little bit quicker than you would think, just because they're like artificial, right? They're completely artificial, so it's gonna have a different feel, um, and they're not really organic at all. So putting in extra layer for that sole there. It's kind of angling them down, and it's kind of going over here finding soles of the shoe. There you go. And you can kind of we're putting in a little bit of a dash of texture. Alrighty. We're going to find the hand first, and then we're going to wrap the spikes behind it. So finding his arm on the far end right there. And right around here. And we're finding that, again, there's like a sweep to his body, right, running through the center here. And we're trying to establish that sweep. But again, it's shrinking, right, because this foot is back there. All right. And this shoe over here, I don't know if we're going to put all this in darkness. We might, but, just sort of. Line over there. Got his tail back there. Start with his hand and we'll draw backwards. That would probably be the easiest thing to do. So his hand, just like this hand, is going to be intricate. Obviously a bit smaller because it's on the far end. Curve, curve. Line over here. There we go. Got that fuzz right there. And a lot of the fuzz, I'm trying to make it random. That's kind of what I'm mainly trying to do. Over here now, finding the kind of the nails. When I find the nail at the very end, it seems to be a good placeholder for the whole thing. Let's see, over, and these fingers, right? It's pretty tough, right? We're kind of the nail on that side and the nail on this side. The nail, like I said, is going to give me the direction for the rest of the finger, and that's going to help a lot. And fingers have this like hot doggy type shape at the very end. They're very big at the very end of the finger. There you go. Kind of figuring out how that hand's gonna crumble back there, you know, like crunch. And we'll go back to that hand in a bit, but we'll find out where, right, Popeye the Sailor Man kind of arms there. They get bigger as they go back there. Mm-hmm. Over here for the chest. He has that exposed area along his chest over here. I'm trying to make the lines thinner as we're kind of tracing downward right there. And giving that a look there. Right on. And we're almost at the stage. Well, we're going to do the spikes now, which is kind of the section we're waiting for. We're all the way to the far side ear. And maybe throw some spit or something. Like he's like, ah, you know. But we're almost at the section where we're going to you know, get rid of the, I'm going to erase the pencil lines, but not quite yet. There we go. There's a little bit of a pattern to this too, right there on the actual spikes. They're pretty, I make them pretty long, to be honest, longer than normal. I just think they look cool. There we go. Line over here. Another line with a spike in his back there. Almost look like dreads in a way. Right there, he's turned. And I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pause and I'm going to erase all the pencil lines and we're going to go in with some darker shadows. But no pun intended. But not yet, actually. We're going to do a little bit more. I need the that brow right there. I forgot to put that brow in. Line over here. There we go. Finding kind of the dark areas. Just some dark areas of patches, because that's kind of what we're going to do in kind of the next area, next stage. Find more shadows. Right now I'm just finding the ones I need to, but doesn't mean they're all going to be like that. So we will do that in a minute. All right, let me pause and then I'll erase the lines. All right, get rid of all the pencil lines. So I'm gonna kind of go in and give him a lot of darkness at the bottom here. So just to kind of make it more focused around the top. So we're gonna kind of wrap our lines here as we're doing this. I'm doing this with this brush pen. I could do it with the other pen, but I think this one will be good enough. It's going to be softer. What we're doing here, it's going to be a little bit softer, and it's almost like we're putting a light, shadowy glaze over the whole thing. And the point of doing this is to create more attention at the top here. So this darkness is going to fall back. Sometimes when you're throwing dark values, it brings more attention, but in this case it shouldn't. In this case it's going to be at the top here. There you go. Right here. Tail in the back. Same thing over here to kind of this area where the shoes are. Again, we're just kind of putting a light glaze over most of it, right? So that people don't look down here as much. And it's fun. It definitely works. In order to do that, you've seen the other demos. Go check out the other videos on the page. I'm going to start putting every video like this. Every video is going to become these kind of long process videos that I really enjoy. So, let me know what you think of that. But I also want your feedback. Your feedback is incredibly important for all of it. Alright, lines over here. Finding a bit more. Same thing along this area of the forearm. Right here at the fingers, because that's really important as well. These little details matter a lot because they total up to a lot. I know sometimes you think like, wow, it's an incredibly small crevice or something like that, but it does amount to more than you think ultimately, and that's kind of what matters to us as viewers of the content that we're putting out here. Right here. Going in. There we go. Just finding these areas that create the depth that we want, right? You throw it under, even under his neck a little bit here, as we kind of have it over there. Maybe along the edge of the eye. A little bit of a softer area. Throwing a little bit more contrast right here because I want the viewer to look at his face first. That's really important. The entire premise is you're guiding the viewer's eye. I guess what we could do as well is put this entire back area into shadow as well, which is probably what's going to happen right here. I'm going to put this entire into dark shadow as well, because it's behind him over here. Going over here. Trying to find some of the dark areas right there to frame. Same thing over here as well. Yeah, there you go. See, just kind of doing that is pushing the other features forward, which is what we want, right? So just kind of, at this point, we're just pushing and pulling, pushing and pulling. We're trying to sort out what's going to push, what's going to pull. Here, going in, putting a little flavor right here. I think that's the way one of my teachers had described it. A little bit of flavor on some of these. Really it's another way of just saying, like, shadowed area or, something of that sort. You can kind of use the soft end of the brush to create more of a soft area. Over here. Right on. And again, see how this is kind of going down? We're putting these soft kind of shadows just kind of, I wouldn't say, yeah, a little bit all over the place. We're just kind of finding and like carving almost in a way. There we go. Over here. Sweet. maybe going over here. I don't want to cover up the face too much, so I am going to put shadows around right there, but not terribly dark. Just putting them around here just to kind of get the feel for it. There we go. See, just it's looking pretty good. Probably gonna put more over here in the back. I'm debating. You know, honestly, I'm probably gonna throw this entire all these spikes right here in the back into pretty dark shadow right there, just to kind of really get it to recede. Right, so I'm trying to get it to really recede back there. There you go. Bolting around the eyes a little bit, trying to get a little bit of more tension here at the eyes. Maybe I'm gonna put a little bit more here around the pupil and iris. There we go. There we go. All right. And so, like, as I'm kind of looking all around, I like this dark over here. Kind of carries around really well. Like it carries across the image. And you know, to be honest, I normally make it the darkest down here, but I'm actually liking the way the most contrast is over here in this area right here, dark to dark. Yeah, I kind of like that a lot actually. I think I might be a new thing I'm gonna start doing a lot more. But let's give us a little bit more touch right there. And this hand looks very unfinished. I think the hands in general looked very unfinished. So let's go after them over here. Yeah, let's go after them. There we go. Just putting more detail along the hands because, like I said, that feels the most odd to me. The eye. Mm-hmm. we're doing pretty good here, making progress. Almost. Aren't we almost done? We might be almost done. This is a little bit quicker than the other ones. Line over here. Again, we're seeing how much we can finish there. Throwing some dark areas along those spots. And maybe this shoulder. Because every time I go to one area, I'm like, oh, you know, that needs a little bit of something. Or this needs a little bit of something. Or this looks a little bare. And I'm constantly scanning the drawing for areas like that. And so... there we go. Excellent. Cool, right here at the top. Again, you're using the softness of this particular, I'm using the softness of this particular brush too. Right, really, this looks a little bare as well. I may put a little bit of stuff right here, even some like there. Looks a little, I mean, it doesn't need to look like, I don't need to fill every area, of course, but I kind of wanted that to be full of something. Sweet. Go check out the website, sketchmonsterart.com. There's going to be a lot of freebies on there, a lot of tutorials, a lot of cool articles on art subjects, just a lot of everything. Go take a look. If there's going to be an art program on there very, very soon where, you know, it's going to teach you to go from beginner all the way to, you know, not beginner to be able to draw stuff from your mind's eye. So absolutely go check that website out and go scrounge around it because I'm working on it constantly. And I think this shoulder looks a little absent of connection here, so we're going to throw some stuff on there to help it connect. And maybe even give him a little bit more of a neck here. A little bit more. But let's go around. Do a couple of little passes over here. Just some little areas. But yeah, I like the way it turned out. I like the way it turned out quite a lot, actually. I'm pretty happy with it. If you have any suggestions for other characters to do on the channel, let me know. And I will totally do them. You just gotta suggest them. And we can do a whole other video of it. I want to thank you very much for watching. If you actually watched to this point, you're amazing. And yeah, we'll talk soon.